Welcome to Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. So, last time we saw Telemachus land in Pylos. He had that big meeting with King Nestor.
Right, and they talked a lot about Troy. Some amazing stories, actually.
Yeah, loads of war stories. But the main thing was Nestor didn't really know where Odysseus was.
No solid information. But he did give Telemachus some good advice, didn't he?
He did. Told him, go see Menelaus in Sparta. Said Menelaus was one of the last guys back from the war, so maybe he'd heard something.
Exactly. So Telemachus is still on his quest. What happens next? Does he just pack up and go?
Pretty much, but not without some help.
Yes. Nestor steps up again. He's really embodying that whole Greek hospitality thing. Xena, they called it.
Xenia, right, that guest friendship bond.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. So Nestor gets his sons involved, tells them to get a chariot ready. Good horses.
Makes sense. Long journey.
And food. Can't forget the provisions. Bread, wine, even sweet meats, for the road. For Telemachus and Nestor's own son, Pisistratus, who's going with him.
Oh, Pisistratus is joining him, a travel buddy.
Yep, a proper send-off, really showing care.
Nice. So they've got their ancient Greek packed lunch, and they head off towards Sparta. Lacedaemon, I think it's called there.
That's the one, Lacedaemon. They arrive at Menelaus' palace, and, well, it's impressive.
I bet. What's the reception like? More Xenia.
Oh, absolutely. Straight into a feast. Like, picture this grand hall, tables piled high, music maybe. Total contrast to Ithaca.
Yeah, no kidding. Back home, it's just those awful suitors lounging around.
Mm-hmm.
So they're feasting. Does Menelaus know who they are or why they're there?
Not immediately, but Menelaus, he's seen a lot. He notices Telemachus seems serious, maybe a bit troubled underneath the polite guest routine.
Okay.
So after a bit, he asks them gently, what brings you here?
And Telemachus spills the beans.
He does. He lays it all out. Explains he's searching for any news, any scrap of information about his father, Odysseus.
Well, it's been tough.
And he tells Menelaus about the situation back home, how the suitors are just running rampant, eating through his inheritance, disrespecting everything.
Oh, those guys.
And crucially, how they're pressuring his mother, Penelope, to marry one of them. It's more than just rudeness. It's like a challenge to the whole kingdom's stability.
Yeah, total power vacuum situation.
Yeah.
How does Menelaus take all this?
He's stunned and really sad, and he looks at Telemachus, and apparently the family resemblance is strong.
He sees Odysseus in him.
Yeah, big time. It hits him hard, remembering his old friend. And then he starts talking about his own return from Troy.
Which wasn't easy either, right?
Not at all. Long, difficult journey, lost a lot of men. He talks about his travels, places like Egypt, and then he shares some grim news about the other Greek leaders.
Like Agamemnon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He mentions Agamemnon's murder by Aegisthus, just brutal. Sets a somber tone.
Wow. So tragedy all around. Does he have any news about Odysseus, though? That's what Telemachus needs.
He does, and it's the first real clue Telemachus gets. Menelaus says he heard from Proteus, the old man of the sea, actually,
Okay.
that Odysseus is alive, but trapped, held captive by the nymph Calypso on her island, Ogygia.
Whoa. Okay, so alive, but stuck. That's something. Mixed news, I guess. How does Telemachus process that, hearing about his dad, but also all these other terrible fates?
It's heavy, for sure. Hope, mixed with the harsh reality of what happened to others. And just then, guess who walks in?
Don't tell me. Helen.
The Helen.
The very one. Helen of Troy herself.
Yeah.
She comes into the hall. And she also recognizes Telemachus almost instantly.
Wow. What does she add to the conversation? More war stories.
Sort of, but specifically about Odysseus.
Yeah.
She tells this amazing story about his cunning during the war, how he disguised himself as like a beggar to sneak into Troy.
No way.
Yes, and she actually helped him then, apparently. He gathered intelligence right under the Trojans' noses.
Incredible. What a spy. And she tells another story, too, about the Trojan horse, how one of the Greeks hidden inside, a guy named Anticlus, almost gave them away by shouting out.
Oh, disaster.
But Odysseus was right there, clamped his hand over the guy's mouth, kept everyone silent, showed real nerve, real leadership. It paints a picture of Odysseus beyond just, the missing father.
Definitely highlights his famous cleverness.
Yeah.
So hearing all these stories, Odysseus' cunning, Agamemnon's fate, must have been intense.
Yeah, you can imagine the mood. Shared sorrow, really. Remembering the war, the losses, it bonds them in a way.
So what happens next? Does Menelaus just send them off?
Well, he wants to help, again, Xenia. He promises Telemachus his support, and he offers some pretty impressive gifts, like a chariot, 3 horses,
Wow, generous.
and a beautiful chalice. He even suggests Telemachus stay longer.
But Telemachus needs to get back, right? With the suitors and everything?
Exactly. He appreciates the offer, but he feels the pressure from Ithaca. He insists he needs to head back soon.
Understandable.
So, as a final gesture, Menelaus gives him this, magnificent mixing bowl, supposedly crafted by the god Hephaestus, or Vulcan, as the Romans called him.
A God-made bowl. Okay, that's top-tier gifting. It really shows how seriously they took that hospitality thing, even amidst all the sad news.
It really does. A tangible sign of respect and support for the son of his friend.
So Telemachus leaves Sparta, presumably feeling a bit more hopeful with gifts, and crucially, that lead about Calypso. But, what's been happening back home while he was gone?
Well, things haven't been quiet in Ithaca. The suitors, they're not dumb. They find out Telemachus slipped away.
And they're not pleased, I take it.
Not pleased is an understatement. And Tenellus, who's kind of one of the main ringleaders,
Yeah.
he's furious. And he comes up with a plan,
Uh-oh, what kind of plan?
a nasty one. He proposes they ambush Telemachus, set up a trap in the straits, and, kill him when he sails back.
Kill him. Seriously, just like that.
Yep. Get rid of the air, solidify their position. It's ruthless.
How does Penelope find out? Does she know he's even gone?
She finds out, yeah. Not from the suitors, though. The news comes from Noemon. He's the guy who lent Telemachus the ship.
Oh, the ship owner. Right.
He casually asks Antinous when Telemachus might be back with his ship, and boom, the secret's out. He then tells Penelope.
Oh, poor Penelope. First her husband missing, now her son sails off into danger, and these brutes are plotting to kill him. She must be beside herself.
Absolutely devastated. Overwhelmed with grief and fear, she didn't even know he'd left.
Is there anyone looking out for her? Any help?
There is, actually, divine help. Athena's still watching over the family.
Good old Athena.
What does she do?
She says a phantom, like a dream image of Penelope's sister, Iphtime.
Okay.
This phantom appears to Penelope while she's asleep, crying. It comforts her, tells her not to worry too much. It assures her Telemachus is protected by the gods and he will return safely.
Well, that's something, I suppose. A bit of hope in a dream.
Yeah.
But the threat is still real, right? The suitors are actually doing this.
Oh, yeah. No hesitation. They get their plan in motion, pick 20 of their best men, get a fast ship ready.
20 men against one ship.
And they sail out. They find a spot, a strategic location in the islands between Ithaca and Samos, and they lie in wait. An ambush at sea.
Chilling. So Telemachus is sailing home, maybe feeling optimistic after Sparta, totally unaware.
Completely oblivious to the danger lurking ahead.
And the suitors are there, knives sharpened, metaphorically speaking, ready to strike. Wow. That leaves us right on the edge, doesn't it?
It really does. The stakes are incredibly high.
Will Telemachus even make it back to shore? Or is this the end of Odysseus's line?
That is the question hanging in the air. A deadly homecoming awaits, potentially.
And that's where we have to leave our deep dive into Book 4 of the Odyssey for now. What a cliffhanger. Join us next time on Cozy Reading Club to find out what happens.
This was Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. If you like this series, we invite you to take a look at other series in our podcast and leave a nice review on the platform you are listening this on.